Hello, friends, and welcome back to History Chronicles. In our last episode, we explored the dramatic fall of France, where German forces swiftly overran the country, leading to the armistice in June 1940. Today, we'll delve into what followed: the formation of Vichy France, a government that chose collaboration with Nazi Germany, marking one of the darkest moments in France's history. This was a moment that not only determined the fate of France during World War II, but also caused deep divisions and set the stage for the resistance within the occupied country. The fall of France and the birth of Vichy. By June 1940, the military situation for France had deteriorated rapidly. The blitzkrieg tactics of the German forces had overwhelmed the French army, and with Italy joining the fray, the French government faced an impossible situation. On June 22, 1940, France officially surrendered to Nazi Germany in the Armistice of Compiègne. This armistice marked the formal division of France into two zones: the occupied zone in the north, including Paris, which came under direct German control, and the unoccupied zone in the south, where a new French government was established in the town of Vichy. This government, led by Marshal Philippe Pétain, was nominally independent, but in reality, functioned as a puppet state under German influence. The decision to form Vichy France was rooted in a desire to avoid total occupation and further destruction. Marshal Pétain, a revered World War I hero, believed that cooperating with Germany would shield France from worse punishment and maintain some degree of autonomy. For many in France, however, the Vichy regime represented collaboration and betrayal. The collaboration with Nazi Germany. Once the Vichy government was established, it wasted no time in aligning itself with the Nazi regime. Pétain and his government believed that cooperation was the only way to safeguard what remained of French sovereignty. But in doing so, Vichy France implemented policies that directly mirrored the Nazi agenda. The Vichy regime introduced a range of anti-Semitic laws, even going beyond German demands. These laws led to the deportation of thousands of Jews from France to concentration camps, a fact that would haunt the country for decades to come. Vichy's collaboration in this aspect was particularly disturbing, as it involved the active participation of the French government in the persecution of its own citizens. Additionally, the Vichy government worked closely with German occupiers to ensure the smooth exploitation of French resources. Factories, food supplies, and labor were all directed towards supporting the German war effort. The Service du Travail Obligatoire, compulsory work service, forced tens of thousands of French workers to labor in Germany, a decision that sparked widespread resentment and opposition. The Vichy regime also maintained close diplomatic and military ties with Nazi Germany. It allowed German forces to use French ports, particularly along the Mediterranean, and even assisted in the hunt for French resistance fighters. In return, the Germans granted the Vichy government limited autonomy, allowing it to manage internal affairs in the unoccupied zone. The impact on the French people. Life under Vichy rule was difficult for the French population. The split between the occupied and unoccupied zones created a divided country, with families and communities separated by the demarcation line. Travel between the zones was heavily restricted, and the fear of German reprisals loomed over the entire nation. For many, the Vichy government was a symbol of humiliation and defeat. The French people had expected their leaders to stand firm against the German invaders, but instead, they witnessed their countrymen cooperating with the enemy. This sense of betrayal fueled the French resistance, a growing underground movement determined to fight back against both the Germans and the Vichy regime. Daily life under Vichy rule was characterized by shortages, rationing, and constant surveillance. The German occupation of the north drained much of France's agricultural and industrial output, leaving the population struggling to survive. Black markets flourished, and people often relied on barter systems to acquire basic goods. At the same time, the Vichy government's authoritarian policies suppressed dissent. Censorship was widespread, and opposition to the regime was brutally crushed. Pétain and his ministers cultivated a cult of personality around the Marshal, portraying him as the savior of France. Propaganda emphasized the need for order, hierarchy, and obedience to Vichy's national revolution, which aimed to restore traditional values. Vichy's legacy and the resistance. The collaboration between Vichy France and Nazi Germany remains one of the most controversial and painful episodes in French history. While Pétain and his supporters claimed that cooperation with the Germans was necessary to protect the French people, the consequences of this decision were dire. Vichy's collaboration led to the arrest and deportation of countless French citizens, including resistance fighters, political dissidents, and Jews. The regime's willingness to enforce Nazi policies tarnished France's reputation in the eyes of the world and left deep scars on the French psyche. However, the actions of the Vichy regime also galvanized opposition. The French resistance grew stronger as more and more people realized that Vichy was not protecting them, but instead collaborating with their oppressors. Charles de Gaulle, who had fled to Britain, had emerged as the leader of the Free French Forces, calling on his countrymen to rise up against both the Germans and the Vichy government. The resistance network expanded across France, with brave men and women working in secret to sabotage German operations, gather intelligence, and assist Allied forces. Despite Vichy's efforts to suppress them, the resistance would play a crucial role in the eventual liberation of France. Conclusion. The formation of Vichy France stands as a testament to the difficult choices that nations face in times of occupation and war. While the regime sought to maintain some semblance of French autonomy, its collaboration with Nazi Germany ultimately caused immense suffering for the French people. In our next episode, we will shift our focus to another pivotal moment in World War II, the beginning of the Battle of Britain. As Germany turned its sights toward Britain, the skies over Europe became the next battleground. We'll explore how this critical air campaign unfolded and how Britain stood firm in the face of overwhelming odds. If you enjoyed today's episode, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to History Chronicles, and enable notifications to stay updated on our next video. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep exploring history with us.